So today I'm going to be talking about communication accommodation theory. And this theory is all about how we adapt or adopt certain communication behaviors with people that we're interacting with. And the example that really comes to my mind is when I go to Cleveland to interact with my relatives. When I was younger, I didn't go to Cleveland as much, but then when I got to like middle school, like late middle school, like 8th grade till when I graduated high school, I was there in Cleveland a lot. Because I was very close with my relatives there, and I would go see them on holidays. I would also go just to visit and things like that with my family. So I really adopted the Cleveland accent later in high school. But when I adopted this accent, I never actually realized that I was adopting it until I got to college and people started pointing out, oh, well, you're saying a certain word differently. And I'll be like, oh, am I? And they'll tell me how it sounds when I say it. And then I'm like, oh, well, I'm in Cleveland a lot, so, I guess I uh, kind of bring that side of me out a little bit because I'm around my relatives, or I was around my relatives so much. And this theory talks all about how we interact differently with like certain subgroups. Like I interact differently with my relatives in Cleveland. Like I will say, "Oh well, hey mom," or "Hey Aunt Michelle." Like I'll kind of like use their accent. And then when I get back here, I try my best not to use that. I try to adapt to the language around here, which is, oh, hey guys, what's up? There's no accent, like on an A or an O or anything like that. If most people don't know what the Cleveland accent sounds like, it's really an emphasis on a lot of vowels and stuff like that. Like if I want, instead of saying, oh, hey mom, I'll say, oh, hey mom. Like I'll emphasize that O. Or if I see my dad, I'll be like, oh, hey dad, instead of, oh, hey dad. So it's just kind of like things like that. So my advice for this theory would be um, when adopting certain communication behaviors, you might want to try to be more aware of like when you're using that certain communication behavior. Try to be more aware, like if you're using like me, like the Cleveland accent, I'm gonna use it more in Cleveland than when I do when I'm back here in Youngstown because surprisingly, people will call you out like, "Oh, you sound so weird," or "Why do you sound so different?" They'll just kind of like put you out there, and in a way, they'll kind of tease you, not necessarily to be mean, but they'll just kind of like point it out to you until you realize what you're doing. But some people who are originally from Cleveland and like go to school here, it is hard for them. But if you're here for so long, people will then adapt to or converge to the kind of language around here, and they might change their um, like way of talking or communicating. A really good example of this is my mom was originally from Cleveland. She grew up in Cleveland, but she doesn't have a really Cleveland accent anymore. Once she moved here in like well, we live in Cortland, but like the Trumbull County area, she really adapted the language around here and doesn't sound like she could be from Cleveland at all. So my advice would be, just if when you're interacting with different subcultures, like it says in the theory, you want to adapt to that certain subculture and make yourself aware of the people you're interacting with and the kind of language they use compared to other people that you interact with.